Imagine traveling back tens of thousands of years in time, stepping into a freezing night deep within the wild. Gathered closely around a flickering campfire, a group of early humans huddles together. As the firelight dances across the stone walls and thick darkness wraps around the cave entrance, someone begins to speak. They recount the morning hunt, warn of a dangerous predator lurking in the dense forest, or ponder the mysterious origins of the stars glittering in the night sky. When did that magical moment first happen? When did humans actually start telling stories? This seemingly simple question is one of the most challenging puzzles in modern science. The primary obstacle lies in the fleeting nature of sound. Spoken words leave behind no fossils. Bones, stone tools, and cave paintings can endure for tens of thousands of years. But spoken words vanish into thin air the instant they are uttered. Meanwhile, writing, the tool we rely on to record narratives, only emerged around 5,000 years ago, an eye blink in the vast timeline of human history. We will never know the name of the first storyteller, what their story was about, or on which precise night it was first told. To piece together an answer, archaeologists and anthropologists must follow indirect clues, studying the evolution of language, cave art, ancient personal ornaments, and burial rituals. Before going any further, we need to clarify what actually constitutes a story. Not every vocalization qualifies as storytelling. A loud cry or a quick warning like "Predator ahead" transfers vital survival information, but it is not a story. To become a narrative, spoken words must construct a world that transcends the immediate present moment. A story requires characters, events, a chronological sequence, cause and effect, a conflict to resolve, and a meaningful takeaway. For instance, saying, "There is a lion near the river," is merely a piece of information. But if you say, "Yesterday I went to the river, a lion suddenly charged at me, and I only survived because I managed to climb the tallest tree," you have officially crossed the threshold into the art of storytelling. Storytelling demands mental time travel, the cognitive ability to speak about a past event, a distant location out of sight, a deceased loved one, or a purely imaginary scenario in the future. Where did this capacity for mental time travel come from? The answer is inseparable from the emergence of language and symbolic thought. To construct a complex narrative, the human brain requires a rich vocabulary, structured grammar, and a clear awareness of the flow of time. Modern language did not appear overnight. It was the product of a long evolutionary process involving changes in vocal anatomy and brain size. The earliest human stories were likely very simple: a brief report on a foraging trip, directions to a water source, or a cautionary tale about a near-miss encounter with a beast. Over time, as language grew more nuanced, those simple accounts blossomed into myths, ancestral legends, and explanations for how the cosmos works. Intriguingly, Homo sapiens may not have been the world's sole storytellers. Other ancient human groups, such as Neanderthals, controlled fire, crafted stone tools, lived in social groups, organized complex hunts, and even cared for injured members of their tribe. Such sophisticated, cooperative behaviors strongly suggest they possessed a well-developed communication system. While we cannot know how Neanderthal tales might have sounded compared to ours, it is very likely that the seeds of storytelling were a shared legacy that predated the evolutionary split between our species. If spoken words vanished into the air, what physical evidence proves that our ancestors possessed the mind of a storyteller? The strongest evidence lies in symbolic thinking, the capacity to use an object, color, or image to represent an abstract concept beyond itself. Tens of thousands of years ago, humans began applying red ochre mineral pigments to their bodies and stringing together beads made from seashells and animal teeth. A prehistoric necklace was not just a piece of jewelry. It was a silent social narrative, broadcasting status, identity, age, and tribal affiliation. The explosive birth of narrative thinking is showcased most vividly in cave art. Deep within dark, inaccessible caverns dating back 30 to 40,000 years, we find incredible depictions of running bison, horses, wild boars, and hunting scenes. These were not random decorations. When a prehistoric artist rendered a sequence of moving animals interacting with human figures, they were actively preserving an event, a grand hunt, a mythic scene, or a spiritual ritual. The presence of hand stencils and Therianthropes, mythical creatures combining human and animal features, provides undeniable proof of a legendary imagination. A hand stencil pressed deep inside a dark cave wall carries a timeless declaration. I was here. I belong to this place. Meanwhile, a half-human, half-beast figure exists nowhere in the physical world. It is a pure creation of the mind, representing a spirit, an ancestor, or a deity. To depict a supernatural creature, ancient humans must have had supernatural stories to explain its existence. Similarly, ancient burials dating back tens of thousands of years, where the deceased were carefully placed in fetal positions, dusted with red ochre, and interred alongside tools and ornaments, reveal that death was not viewed as an absolute end. Placing grave goods alongside the dead reflects a belief in an afterlife, where the spirit continues to exist and requires provisions. Such abstract beliefs about life, death, and the unseen could only be maintained and passed down through shared community myths. The ultimate incubator for these narrative traditions was the campfire. Mastering fire was a revolutionary turning point that reshaped human social structure. Daylight was reserved for practical survival work, hunting, gathering, and shaping tools. But when the sun went down and the fire was lit, it provided warmth, light, and protection from nocturnal predators. Fire extended the human day into the night, creating a safe, relaxing space, fundamentally different from the stressful struggles of daytime survival. The dancing golden light and casting shadows created a perfect stage for the human imagination. Around that fire, people began to talk, sing, perform rituals, and share tales. These campfire storytelling sessions offered invaluable survival advantages. A story functions as a safe, zero-risk virtual simulator. You do not need to be mauled by a predator to learn how to survive an attack. You can learn through the vivid experiences of a hunter who came before you. Information embedded within a narrative structure, complete with characters, emotional stakes, and cause and effect outcomes, is remembered far more deeply by the brain than a dry list of instructions. Parents used scary stories and mythic monsters to teach children essential safety rules. Do not wander into the dark forest alone, and stay away from treacherous river currents. Even more importantly, stories served as the social glue, building tribal identity and morality. A story answered fundamental questions. Who are we? Where do we come from? And what binds us together? Through legends of ancestors and heroic deeds, a tribe forged a shared identity. Abstract social rules, like loyalty, courage, and generosity, were personified through heroes who were rewarded and traitors who suffered consequences. Storytelling allowed humans to build shared beliefs, enabling hundreds or even thousands of individuals to trust and cooperate with one another. Before the invention of writing, human memory was a living library. Skilled storytellers within a tribe, whether elders, shamans, or bards, held a position of immense cultural prestige. They carried the genealogies, laws, tribal histories, and secret locations of life-saving waterholes during severe droughts. To ensure lengthy narratives survived across generations without fading, oral traditions developed powerful mnemonic techniques, repetitive patterns, rhythmic cadences, poetic rhymes, and integration with music and ceremonial dance. Over centuries of retelling, a real historical event, like a catastrophic flood or a volcanic eruption, might gather mythical embellishments, but its core survival lesson remained intact. When the earliest writing systems finally emerged, roughly 5,000 years ago in Mesopotamia and Egypt, their original purpose was not to record literature, but to keep track of taxes, trade inventories, and administrative records. It took a long time for humans to realize the incredible power of written script to freeze the spoken word, using it to record prayers, myths, and the grand deeds of kings. The Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest surviving written stories in human history, was not the first story ever invented. It was the transcription of oral traditions that had circulated around campfires for centuries. Writing did not invent the art of storytelling. It merely acted as a time capsule, allowing ancient oral voices to speak directly to us across millennia. So, when did humans first start telling stories? Science will never be able to give us a specific calendar date or a single historical year. But looking at the grand picture of human evolution, we can say with confidence, the very moment language became sophisticated enough to venture beyond the immediate present, the moment the human mind learned to fashion symbols and stone walls flickered under night firelight, the first stories were born. The history of storytelling is nearly as long as the history of humanity itself. Whenever you sit with friends recounting a memory, whenever you lose yourself in a book, or whenever you watch a movie unfold on screen, you are doing more than enjoying entertainment. You are continuing humanity's oldest and most sacred ritual, a tradition that has kept us safe, connected, and deeply human since the very first fire was struck in the prehistoric dark.